I was just an ordinary single mother, Renata, trying to make ends meet. But I never expected to find myself at a high-stakes wedding filled with shocking secrets. And let me tell you, when I stepped in, I uncovered things about the wealthy groom, Rafael, that would make your jaw drop. You won't believe the dirt I discovered that day. My story begins at what was supposed to be a beautiful event, where I was just a reluctant guest. But as soon as the ceremony started, something felt off. The tension in the air was thick, and I could tell this wedding was hiding a web of lies that could ruin lives. I'm not just going to tell you the ordinary story of a wedding gone wrong. No, I'm about to expose the mind-blowing secrets that Rafael desperately wanted to keep buried. Secrets that would destroy his perfect image and shock everyone in that room. Today, I'm going to reveal all the details. From the moment I first laid eyes on Rafael to the dramatic climax that left everyone speechless. You will discover how I got involved in a scandalous twist that turned a joyful celebration into a nightmare. And stay tuned, because the final revelation is so huge, it will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about love and betrayal. But first, if you want to hear all the unbelievable revelations of that day, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel because I uncover crazy stories every week. Share with your friends who love a good drama, and comment wedding scandal below. Let's go. Ready? Then hold on tight, because this story is so crazy you won't believe it. Let's get started. It all began in a small town in Arizona in 2010, where I, Renata, was just a struggling single mom, working 2 jobs to support my daughter. Life was tough, and every day felt like a battle. I was juggling bills, school drop-offs, and late-night shifts at the diner. It was exhausting, but I was determined to give my daughter a better life, far from the shadows of poverty. One day, while I was working at the diner, I met someone who would change everything. A wealthy man named Rafael walked in, always impeccably dressed, with a charisma that lit up the room. He was charming, but something about him felt out of place amidst the working-class crowd. We struck up a conversation, and he revealed that he often visited the diner as a break from his high-powered corporate world. The more we talked, the more I learned about his glamorous life, luxurious parties, elite social gatherings, and fast cars. I couldn't help but feel drawn to him, despite my better judgment. As fate would have it, he offered me a job as a personal assistant to help him manage his busy schedule. It was a golden opportunity that I felt I couldn't refuse, despite my lingering doubts about entering his extravagant world. In those first days working for Rafael, I was charmed by his life of opulence, but I quickly noticed the cracks beneath the surface. The tension behind his smile grew palpable. I stumbled upon snippets of conversations that hinted at a darker side to his wealth, a side he desperately wanted to keep hidden. I found out he had a past filled with secrets and encounters that made me question everything I thought I knew about him. Then, just days before the wedding, I overheard a conversation that changed everything. Rafael was talking to someone in hushed tones, discussing threats that were closing in on him. I couldn't make out the details, but it was clear that this wedding wasn't just a celebration. It was a facade, and I was standing at the precipice of a major reveal. You see, as I pieced everything together, I realized that stopping the wedding was no longer just about saving Rafael's reputation. There were lives at stake, including my own. But the shocking truth was far more dangerous than I could have imagined, and what lay ahead was a confrontation that would pull me into a web of deceit and betrayal. showing me the true colors of a man I thought I knew. Would I be able to uncover the truth before it was too late? As I worked alongside Rafael, I saw how he expanded his empire in ways I never imagined. Every day, I witnessed him charm influential people at parties, sealing deals that seemed too good to be true. It was in those high-stakes conversations that he built a network of loyal allies, people he could trust to help him rise to the top. I watched as Rafael made huge moves in the corporate world. He wasn't just a businessman, he was a force of nature. I learned that he controlled a company worth millions, operating in diverse markets, from technology to real estate. He had come a long way from those humble beginnings. It was captivating to see how he transformed every handshake into a profitable venture. In just a few years, Rafael's revenue skyrocketed. I learned that his firm was pulling in over $10 million annually, and he had plans to double that in the next 2 years. He had over 200 employees working under him, each one inspired by his vision. He was not just a millionaire. He was morphing into a titan in the industry, right in front of my eyes. But while his empire thrived, I couldn't shake the feeling that things were far from perfect. I witnessed the pressure he was under. His top aides whispered about whispers, competition he needed to silence before they could ever threaten him. I learned that Rafael had made enemies who were ready to take him down, using any means necessary. He no longer just had to fend off corporate rivals. He had to worry about people operating in the shadows. As the wedding day approached, I felt the mounting tension. Rafael's charisma was fading. He was distracted, often lost in thought. I saw how isolation crept in as he leaned on fewer people for support. His most trusted partner, Miguel, was caught up in legal trouble, a situation that was spiraling out of control. And as Rafael juggled this chaos, I knew I had to act quickly. The wedding would reveal more than just a promise of love. Just before the wedding, I overheard a desperate conversation Rafael had with a close friend. He spoke of drastic measures, not just for his business, but to ensure his safety. "You have no idea what's at stake," he had said, his voice low and urgent. It was then that I realized stopping this wedding was no longer a matter of saving face for Rafael. There were darker implications, secrets that could unravel everything. The closer I got to the truth, the more dangerous it became. I knew I was standing at the edge of a precipice. Would I take the risk to expose what he was hiding? As the wedding bells chimed, my heart raced because I was about to learn just how far Rafael would go to protect his empire and the secrets that could destroy us both. And the moment that changed everything arrived. The day I discovered the truth Rafael had been hiding for years. Right there at the altar on that fateful day, May 14th, 2010. It was chaos. The venue was breathtaking, filled with flowers and luxury. But my heart raced as I watched Rafael, waiting for his bride at the end of the aisle. I fought my nervousness, but there was a heaviness in the air that I couldn't ignore. Just moments before the officiant began, I received a tip from an anonymous source that had sent me reeling. I had to confront Rafael about the shocking details he had concealed. I didn't want this wedding to proceed without revealing the truth. I rushed behind the guests, weaving through the elegant decorations, until I reached Rafael. "Rafael, we need to talk, now!" I hissed, urgency in my voice. He looked at me, his eyes narrowing. But I wasn't backing down. The truth was too dangerous to keep hidden. The irony of stage fright struck me. Here I was, stopping the wedding of a millionaire from the working class. As he pulled me towards a private corner of the venue, I took a deep breath. "I found out about those documents," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil. "What documents?" he countered, fear flashing across his face. I had laid my hands on the sensitive evidence just days before. It was a hidden file containing names, dates, and damning information about his rise to power. I had copies, evidence of corporate sabotage that Rafael orchestrated. He had been funneling money through his company to pay off city officials. I revealed the details I had gathered. "You're involved with corrupt officials, Rafael. I uncovered that your company has been sending $300,000 monthly to Councilman Tom Harris since 2008 and $150,000 to State Senator Lisa Green. You've silenced dissent and rigged contracts." The wedding guests remained oblivious to the storm brewing just outside their view. "You can't do this. You'll ruin everything," he whispered urgently, panic beginning to seep into his composure. But the depth of Rafael's greed was inscrutable, and I realized that I wasn't just exposing him. I was risking everything, including my daughter's safety. "I went through your files. Javi, your right-hand man, has been consulting with the authorities." My hands trembled as I dug deeper. "You'd paid him to keep quiet after the accident, with the shipment that went missing last year, right?" He looked around, and I could see his mind racing. "You have no proof," he insisted. But I grabbed my phone and clicked through the photos I had taken. There in my hands was a document directly tying him to the scheme. A list of transactions showing incredible amounts funneled from his legitimate business to various illicit sources. I knew that revealing this would bring the roof crashing down. "But you're getting married. You can't throw your life away over a few $1,000s, he pleaded, desperation cloaking his words. "You have to let the wedding go forward." "No, I won't!" I shouted, aware that time was running out. "You can't hide from this anymore, Rafael. Not at the altar. What if your wife is involved too?" At that moment, I saw the color drain from his face. He realized I was serious. "What do you mean?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "I overheard her talking about your shady dealings. How has she not figured it out yet?" I saw his jaw tighten. Just as the ceremony was about to start, I intercepted, pulling people aside to witness this showdown. "You'll lose everything you've built," I warned, voice trembling with adrenaline. "Do you want your bride to live a lie?" With the crowd growing restless, Rafael knew he was losing control. The officiant stood bewildered. As I pointed at the truth before us, something broke in his eyes. Would I stand my ground? Could I stop this wedding before it was too late? His breath hitched, and he glanced around. Then I spotted Miguel, his partner, lurking just behind the crowd, an uneasy expression on his face. It was all connected. Rafael couldn't keep running. Suddenly, Rafael turned to me, his face a mask of fury. "You'll regret this," he hissed, his severity tightening the air around us. And right then and there, our confrontation reached a boiling point. The guests murmured in confusion as to why the ceremony had stopped. I had stonewalled everything he had worked for. And now, with the wedding on the brink of unraveling, the stakes were higher than ever. What came next? The consequences of exposing someone's darkest secrets could mean everything to me and the world Rafael knew. Would I risk it all to reveal his truth? Would the wedding collapse? Or would Miguel make a move of his own? As I waited for Rafael's response, I braced myself for the chaos that lay ahead. After stopping the wedding, my life spiraled out of control. I never imagined that revealing Rafael's hidden truths would put me in the crosshairs of those who wanted to silence me. Within hours of the confrontation, the consequences began. I received an anonymous message threatening my daughter's safety if I didn't retract my statements about Rafael. "We know where you live, and your little girl is in danger," it warned, sending chills down my spine. I couldn't believe how quickly they reacted to my revelation. The next day, I found my car's tires slashed outside my apartment. The message was crystal clear: back off. I contacted the police, but their response was lukewarm. "Without proof of a direct threat, there's not much we can do," the officer told me, but I could see the skepticism in his eyes. He didn't seem to take my situation seriously. As Rafael's wedding guests finally learned the truth behind the scandal, public outrage erupted. The media got wind of the explosive details, and soon enough, news outlets were plastering headlines across their websites. "Millionaire groom's corruption exposed," they screamed. But it wasn't just my safety that was jeopardized. Rafael lashed out at his enemies. He wanted to distance himself from the exposure, using his influence to hush the growing scandal. The fallout was immense. By the end of the week, over a dozen city officials were arrested. Investigations began unfolding into Rafael's business practices. His empire was now under siege. Properties linked to his illegal operations were frozen, totaling an estimated $50 million in assets. Rafael's once enviable position now teetered on the brink of collapse as fear gripped him. Miguel, who I thought would be Rafael's ally, turned out to be the first to reveal his position. Faced with mounting legal pressure, he agreed to cooperate with authorities in exchange for immunity. As he testified against Rafael, everything I had uncovered started connecting like a web of deceit. Rafael's former partners turning against him. The walls were closing in, and the authorities, fueled by new leads from Miguel, were relentless. But even with the public outcry, I felt a claustrophobic grip of dread. My mind raced as I realized that Rafael's unscrupulous dealings weren't just corporate fraud. They were tied to corruption that reached beyond my understanding. Rafael had developed connections with powerful figures who wouldn't take kindly to my revelations. Then came the bombshell that dropped like a ton of bricks. An anonymous whistleblower emerged, providing documents I had never seen. A hidden trail of dirty money leading back to influential players in politics and business. This was bigger than Rafael. It implicated several high-ranking officials who were now scrambling to distance themselves from the chaos. As I sat there, pondering the enormity of it all, my front door suddenly burst open. It was the police, but their energy and urgency didn't feel reassuring. No, it felt like a warning. They were there to protect me, but they also carried heavy revelations. "We've intercepted communications, suggesting there's a plan to come after you and your daughter," the lead detective said, his voice low and serious. Everything I had uncovered was drawing dark attention. They needed to put me into protective custody. But I had one thought racing through my mind. Would going into hiding truly keep my daughter safe? Or would it only draw Rafael's wrath to us even sooner? And just as the urgency hung heavy in the air, chaos erupted outside. A group of people stormed towards my building, furious and determined. They had been rallying behind Rafael's charges, ready to defend his name at any cost. I realized this fight was far from over, and the final danger was only just beginning. After my confrontation with Rafael at the wedding on May 14th, 2010, I faced a new and terrifying reality. I made a last desperate attempt to ensure my family's safety. The days became a blur of frantic phone calls with lawyers and the police. I was terrified, but also determined to expose the depth of Rafael's deceit before it cost me everything. I went into hiding for a short while, moving between friends' homes, always glancing over my shoulder. The threats kept coming. As news of Rafael's corruption filled the headlines, I learned how far his reach extended. His empire was crumbling under the weight of investigations and public outrage, but I wasn't out of danger yet. On June 5th, less than a month after the wedding incident, I was staying at a friend's house when I got the news that made my heart race. Rafael had arranged for an accidental meeting with Miguel, who had flipped and was now cooperating with the authorities. This was a turning point. Miguel would testify against him, revealing the full extent of Rafael's illegal activities and their impact on the businesses they operated. But at what cost? On June 7th, I received a chilling call from the police. You need to be on high alert. We've intercepted a communication indicating there's a plan to silence you forever, the detective said grimly. I couldn't believe the danger was closing in again. That same day, as I made my way back to the safety of my apartment, I spotted a car following me. My heart raced as a sense of dread settled in. I quickly ducked into a store and called the police, reporting the suspicious vehicle. They promised to send someone immediately, and I waited, my hands trembling. Just moments later, I mustered the courage to peek outside, only to see the car speed away. On June 10th, I attended a preliminary hearing where Miguel was testifying against Rafael in a sealed courtroom. This was my moment to come forward and confront my fears. I had the evidence Rafael thought he could keep buried. As the proceedings unfolded, I felt a surge of power. This time, it wasn't just me fighting to expose the truth. It was a united front against the powerful man who thought he was untouchable. In the end, Rafael's world collapsed. By June 15th, investigations revealed a network not only connected to Rafael, but to several high-profile politicians. My heart sank when I learned that the corruption extended far beyond Rafael's realm. It implicated figures I had never imagined. I realized, in a revelation that shook me, that Rafael didn't just have a criminal record. He was a pawn in a larger game of corruption, perpetuated by even bigger players. The final bombshell? As the investigations progressed, documents surfaced showing that Rafael had been planning to leave the country weeks before the wedding, perhaps to escape facing the music. But Miguel's sudden cooperation and my revelation stopped his escape cold. Finally, Rafael was arrested on June 18th, and as I stood outside the courthouse, I breathed a sigh of relief. My efforts were not in vain. I had faced immense danger, but I had fought back against a man who believed he could hide behind his wealth and power. This wretched story had a twist I never expected. One day, I might need to testify myself to truly seal Rafael's fate and finally close this ugly chapter of my life. What once felt like the end was now a beginning, a chance for me to reclaim not only my life, but my daughter's future. As I prepared for the final confrontation in court, I can only hope that it would bring justice, not just for me, but for others who had been hurt by Rafael's empire. It was time to stand firm, to expose the true face of corruption, and ensure that this cycle of deceit was broken forever. And that is how my decision to stop Rafael's wedding irrevocably altered the course of my life. By revealing the shocking truths behind his corrupt empire, I not only faced relentless threats, but also ignited a wave of justice that led to his arrest. The scandal exposed deep-seated corruption that extended far beyond Rafael, implicating powerful figures in the political arena. It was a turbulent journey that forced me to confront unimaginable dangers for the sake of my daughter and the truth. Today, as I reflect on the aftermath, I find solace in knowing that Rafael's empire is dismantled and he is behind bars. I am currently safe, living under protective measures, ensuring my daughter remains free from harm. The weight of my choices lingers. Revealing the truth came at a significant cost, but ultimately, it was worth it. This story highlights the grave price we pay for truth in a world riddled with deception. In exposing Rafael, I learned that standing up against corruption requires immense courage and unwavering resolve. The truth may feel heavy, but it is essential for justice. If this story resonated with you, please like this video, because it truly helps the channel grow. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for more intense stories like this each week. Share this with anyone who appreciates a good drama and comment below. Do you think I did the right thing by revealing Rafael's secrets? And stay tuned for the next story, where we'll dive into another jaw-dropping scandal that shook the foundations of power.